I would argue that bad OPSEC is still the number one cyber threat. We all know, and follow me here, we all know that adversaries can get onto our networks despite encryption, despite firewalls, despite other perimeter security efforts, despite security in depth, despite all the things we've been doing for the last 20 years. A capable and determined adversary can get on your network and read your mail. Um, that's why good OPSEC is still at the core of everything we do, whether it's in the federal government all the way down to the private sector security teams. You're the CISO at a Fortune 1000 company, you still need to have really good OPSEC. You own Bitcoin, you still need to have really good OPSEC. You're the Secretary of Defense, you really need to have good OPSEC. That's why people in positions in government, like the ones we're talking about from the bad OPSEC example from a couple days ago with the signal communications, is so important because you're showing bad habits happen at every level. This was not the leaking of war plans. It was possibly the leaking of, you could argue, the intention to conduct military action, which should never be discussed over a commercial app, even if it wasn't classified, even if it wasn't war plans. But bad OPSEC is what sinks ships. Loose lips sinks ships, that whole adage. It's just so much easier to have loose lips now, and bad habits can creep into anything. You're a corporate CISO. You're talking to your incident response team about an intrusion that happened on your network over a network that's being monitored by the adversary that intruded on your network. Bad OPSEC. You own Bitcoin. You're talking about with somebody about where you store your Bitcoin, how you keep your Bitcoin, uh, God forbid, the seed phrase and things like that. Bad OPSEC. Um, Take it to the national security level. You're the Secretary of Defense and then National Security Advisor and this Secretary of State and the CIA Director and others. And you are talking about your thoughts, debating sort of the pros and cons of attacking a terrorist organization in another country that's a proxy of Iran. Bad OPSEC. All these things are bad OPSEC. It's particularly egregious when you have readily available secure communications traveling around with you, like all of these people did. They have teams that travel around with them with secure communications. So it's just a perfect example of how bad habits can happen at any level, the highest level to the lowest level. And that's the biggest threat to our national security. Obviously, you can think you're having good OPSEC and an adversary can break into your network and look at what you're talking about, more typical cyber intrusion. That's bad. But it's a lot easier for them to just snoop on our bad habits. And they're pervasive at every level, obviously. This is a good wake-up call to think OPSEC at every level, from the corporate world to the national level. Let's hit the reset button on our national level OPSEC.